This is Just Nigeria. Coming up today, counting the cost, the impact of the recent xenophobic attacks on Africa's largest economies.
When these kind of things come up, it affects the economy as well, where both South Africans and Nigerians in this instance lost a lot.
Also, is a university degree enough guaranteed to earn you a job? We highlight skill sets that can make you employable. And pitching in to help young couples get married, a credit and savings scheme to pay off dowries. Plus,
I'm Nengyo Muku. Check me out.
The visual artist using art as therapy for the mentally challenged. Welcome to Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. And here on the show, we discuss the stories getting tweeted and shared by you and I, the social media generation. I am Wale Fakile. Having said that, let's get cracking with our top story for the week. Now, the recent xenophobic attacks in South Africa have sparked conversations globally, with divergent accounts of the situation being told. Just Nigeria's Ajoke Uleote reviews the causes and social impact of these attacks.
Jebstown is a suburb in Johannesburg, South Africa. It was here that the latest round of xenophobic attacks broke out.
We didn't come to the shop on Sunday because I was scared. You see, even my fellow colleagues, they never come to the shop. Then on Monday, we come here. We see that all is damaged. They burn the shop on Sunday. Then in the afternoon again, in the afternoon on Sunday, they went upstairs again and put it on. Put another fire again. To see how heartless somebody is. There's no brotherly whole love there. We are all one Africa.
Businesses belonging to foreigners were looted. Others were left in ruins. In no time, the attack spread to other areas. Claims on TV and social media attributed the primary cause of this attack to various incidents.
We've literally just got our independence 2 decades ago, and we are still trying to find our feet. And with the lack of resources that we have as Black people in South Africa, there's now that tug of war, that anger, that the little that we have, we need to share with foreign nationalities that are coming into the country, the influx.
South Africa is home to more than 50 million people. Over the last decade, people from across Africa found a home in the Rainbow Nation. As at 2011, 2.2 million foreigners lived in South Africa. 8 years later, the number has risen to 3.6 million. The unrest recorded on the 1st of September 2019 is not the first in a series of xenophobic attacks. In 2017, cases of violence were recorded in Pretoria after locals and foreigners clashed during an anti-illegal immigrant march. Just 2 years before, there were multiple attacks against foreigners in Durban and Johannesburg. In 2013, violence broke out in Diepsloot after 2 Zimbabwean men were allegedly killed by South Africans. And in 2008, attacks in Cape Town and Johannesburg left many dead after foreigners' shops were looted. Gauteng province, which includes South Africa's largest city, Johannesburg, and the capital, Pretoria, has seen the highest rates of violence against foreigners. The African Center for Migration and Society says the province has witnessed 212 xenophobic incidents between 1994 and 2018, with other provinces getting a fair share of attacks. So why have these confrontations continued?
The amount of money it costs to pay a South African as compared to a foreign national it's wide, and most businesses opt to rather hire foreign nationals over South Africans.
Many claim that these continued attacks have brought nothing but gloom. Victims are counting their losses, with their sources of income destroyed. Here in Nigeria, angry mobs besiege South African-owned brands, looting stores and burning some facilities. Cases of reprisals have also spread to Zimbabwe and Zambia. This leaves us wondering, at whose expense?
Unfortunately, it's destroying the friendship among nations. Nigerians today, if anything were to happen in South Africa, don't forget in the 70s, ordinary Nigerians, civil servants, were contributing money for liberation in Southern Africa. Now, if something were to happen in South Africa today, and South Africa is a fragile country, it's a fragile economy. Nobody prays that the whole place will collapse because the white in South Africa owns about 95% of the wealth. If, as a result of this contradiction, if there was to be a civil war in South Africa among the races, a racial problem, country like Nigeria would just say, well, we don't want to be involved because after all, we had helped you before and nothing happened about it.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa condemned the attacks, warning this would only incite violence against its citizens abroad.
No amount of anger and frustration and grievance can justify such acts of wanton destruction and criminality. There can be no excuse for the attacks on the homes and businesses of foreign nationals.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari sent an envoy to Pretoria after pulling out of the World Economic Forum hosted in Cape Town. But how constructive have discussions been between representatives from both countries?
From my own standpoint, I believe that what is happening so far will help to cement the relationship between the two countries. And I know that the two governments are committed to making the relationship work.
Beyond the political class, popular Nigerian celebrities pulled out of engagements in South Africa to condemn the attacks. The calls for roundtable conversations and preference for dialogue may have taken the spotlight, but are these strategies enough?
The solution to this problem of xenophobia, although it is a cliche to say that no country is an island sufficient unto itself. But I believe that if there is equilibrium, economic equilibrium among African states, if there is nothing that will attract me to go to South Africa, people will even come here to beg me to come and help them in South Africa.
With renewed calls for foreigners to leave, it remains to be seen how far this unrest will strain relations between the continent's leading economies, Nigeria and South Africa.
So that's the effect of the fresh xenophobic attacks on Nigeria and South Africa. Moving on. Now, if you have a degree and a good job, you might want to count yourself lucky. It seems that a degree, no matter the class, is no longer a guarantee for success in Nigeria. So what then is? Damilola Oduolowu tells the story of a young graduate struggling to make ends meet.
This may not be how you imagine life after graduating from university. Getting a degree in Nigeria is not easy and may not always guarantee a secure future. Chigbo Aingo's life has been a poor reflection of his second-class upper grade. The 30-year-old walks on this narrow path to his shared home in Makuku area of Lagos.
Welcome to my house. This is my house. We're almost 6 living here. So this is where I'm residing for now. But I have to show you my certificate so that you can confirm the reality of it.
It was difficult for him to get a job, so he decided to hawk face masks in the ever-busy Lagos traffic.
Most of the job agents, they only advertise for money. They don't have job at hand. They just advertise. Most of the activities that you just clue to money.
In Nigeria, many begin university with high hopes for a future of milk and honey. But this associate professor says a degree basically provides a platform.
There are some things that you'll be taught in the classes, but it's an opportunity to help to develop your skills, to try to prepare yourself, for that job market. And at the moment, that is not what a lot of the students are doing. This is what they have to do. A lot of the students, they waste their time on what I call frivolities on the social media. Those are opportunities, but those things on the social media, they are also opportunities that they can actually make use of.
This academician's thought may have been echoed by President Muhammadu Buhari through the former Minister of State for Education. He said university degrees are no longer assurance for jobs. Despite retaining some hope that he would one day get a job, Chigbo reflects on his decision to further his education in the first place.
In fact, it makes me feel that it's just better I didn't go to school. That is it. Because the only thing that makes me feel depressed is that I feel if I stayed here with my friends without going to school, I would have been in a better position now, because some of them, they have cars now. They have cars, they have houses, they have wives. In fact, they have wives and the rest of it. So they are much equipped. Some of them, they are living in a better place now. But now, you see, after these certificates now, you cannot justify, you cannot equate it with their own attributes. So that is just what I've been thinking. I say, what is it?
For this HR expert, the responsibility is on students themselves to prepare for the future.
I know the pressure on a lot of students, a lot of people, is quite a lot. So what you actually have to do, aside your degree, you should try and think of something to do. Like, try and start up something, no matter how small it is.
Statistics show that Nigeria's unemployment rate grew from 16.6% in the second quarter of 2017 to almost 19% in the third quarter of the same year. That means Chigbo is now one of the 18 million Nigerians who are underemployed. Nigeria government says it is aware, and its N-Power scheme has so far helped train over 200,000 people. But for Chigbo and millions like him, until they find a job, their degrees remain sown seeds turned to trees with no fruits to show. Damilola Udwulu, Gist Nigeria.
All right, if a university degree cannot get you a desired life, what then are the options? Damilola sat with a human resources expert who gives some advice.
Is having a degree enough guarantee to get a job?
Having a degree alone is not a guarantee to getting a job. It can only grant you eligibility in event of a vacancy.
So what other things should graduates have to make them employable?
Communication, your appearance, and then your attitude. I call that the ABC. The whole gamut of all those are what comes to bear if you're trying to make yourself employable. Internship and volunteering, they can help any young graduate get a job. You can walk into an organization, recall that they don't have any experience at all. So if you walk into an organization and then you apply, I know I don't have this required skill, but can you allow me intern for this role? And remember, it depends on the passion. You have to be self-motivated. It depends on the passion and what you intend, what is driving you. They don't necessarily need to employ you at the end of the internship. But guess what? You have acquired that skill that you could add to your resume and get a job somewhere else. So it's a win-win thing.
Brilliant tips there from Stella Obialo on acquiring work experience through internship and volunteering. All right, let's now see how other countries are making sure graduate degrees remain crucial to getting that dream job. China wants to eradicate the idea that vocational education is second choice to an academic degree. By 2022, some universities will become practical institutions where students can acquire degrees with occupational skills and become more market-driven. Vocational colleges will get more funds for operations and scholarship. And Germany has one of the most productive workforces in the world. This is due to its vocational training system, which combines practical training at workplace with theoretical classroom instruction. Consequently, Germany has one of the lowest youth unemployment rates in the European Union. Wonderful. And finally, Kenya introduced technical and vocational education reform to revive the competencies of its workforce last year. About $160 million was allocated to recruit instructors, provide grants for students, and to ensure enrollment hits more than 3 million in 5 years. This week's 360 Roundup. So what else do you think about acquiring a university degree in Nigeria? Let's know on our Twitter page at Gist Nigeria TV. There's more to come here on Gist Nigeria. We'll have the story of the credit and savings scheme helping its members respect and preserve culture in a moment. You've been watching Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. I am Wale Fakile. Glad to have you back. Coming up shortly, the artist with a passion for expressing the human state of mind through our paintings. But before that, Gist Nigeria, a co-production between the BBC and Channels TV, was officially launched in Lagos last week. It was a time to showcase the amazing stories we have told since we first went on air in April. Here is a sneak peek into how it went, plus a little behind the scenes of what goes into making the program. To speak with people who ordinarily the traditional media would not want to speak with.
And by that we mean young people and women.
You talk about BBC, you talk about quality, you talk about BBC, you talk about good research, you talk about BBC, you talk about professionalism. I think these are ideals that we share with them, and so it's no surprise that both of us have come together to come up with a very good program that is very widely watched around not only Nigeria, but also Africa and the rest of the world.
I've loved coming to Nigeria as director on a number of occasions, and I'm particularly proud of the great partnership that we've formed with Channels, and in particular I'm very proud of the programme Gist Nigeria that you've just seen.
Hello, this is Gist Nigeria.
Cue.
Amazing. It's been a roller coaster ride since April, and Gist Nigeria will surely continue to deliver great programming. Now to other stories. Organizing a wedding is a major financial undertaking. It's an even bigger challenge in some parts of Africa where families are expected to make a sizable upfront payment to the bride's family, known as the bride price. Now, a community in Rwanda has come up with a saving and credit scheme to smoothen its members' path into married life. The BBC's Eunice Gauteng reports.
It's afternoon in the eastern province of Rwanda. Ndonada Mungwaneza, alongside other members of Tuyubake Association, are making their way to their monthly meeting. Today is an important day for her. She has requested for the association to help her raise money for her bride price.
The dowry ceremony is the most important and difficult one. My parents have requested a dowry of $660 from my fiancé. I will definitely make my own contribution because I love him, and our parents, relatives, and friends must be proud of us. I decided to support my fiancé by paying $220 and he will contribute the rest, which is $440.
The association, like others across Rwanda, allows members who want to take the next step into marriage to borrow cash and pay dowry to meet the culture demands.
As you know, paying the dowry for the bride is very expensive for many people in Rwanda. So the contribution we make is the backbone of our different projects. When a member needs money to pay the dowry, we give him the amount he needs, which he pays back in installments depending on his financial means. In fact, this is one of the objectives of our club.
When a member is planning a wedding, he informs colleagues. They meet and raise funds, whatever you can afford, starting from $2. When one is a member of more than one association, he gains more support since it's an obligation for every member to contribute to his wedding.
According to the Rwandan culture, the dowry is seen as a blessing to the in-laws for the efforts to have raised a first-class girl. And this is why it's important to preserve this culture.
For this community, the financial support is not only a way to ensure its members respect culture, but also preserve the culture that has been passed down many generations.
Getting married just became easier for some Rwandans. And with that, we move on to Check Me Out, our weekly showcase of Nigerians doing wonderful things around the world. Nengi Omuku is a contemporary artist who uses art as therapy for mental illness. Her work has been exhibited in London, New York, Atlanta, and Lagos. Let's check her out.
I'm Nengi Omuku. I'm a visual artist based in Lagos, Nigeria. Check me out. I was born in Warri in 1987. Yes, I'm old. And we moved around a lot. My parents moved around a lot with me because of their work. And I went to Loyola Jesuit College for 6 years. That's where I went to secondary school. And it was the first year I got into Loyola, my first engagement in an art class with drawing, that I realized I was going to be an artist. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I did this art competition in Abuja. It was a national art competition. And I handed in a painting and I got the first prize. And it was a very exciting experience. And I got to meet the Queen. And she shook my hand and she encouraged me to continue studying art. I graduated at 16 and then I came to England and I did A-levels for 2 years in Dorset. And then I got admitted into the Slade School of Fine Arts where I spent 6 years, 4 for a bachelor's and 2 for my master's, and then I came back immediately after. And at first there was like a major culture shock. It was the weather, it was the language in a way, although I speak English, just like understanding this very, very strong British accent. And so it was a couple of things, and again I was away from home and from people that I was familiar with. So those were the challenges I faced, but eventually I was able to like adapt to the society and figure it out eventually. When I moved back to Nigeria, in Ibadan, in Bodija, there was a woman I met walking in the middle of the street in the very center. And I sort of questioned like why she was doing that. And when I met this woman, I realized that there are issues bigger than me. And it was from that point that I decided that I wanted to start painting about a state of mind as opposed to painting about a physical representation of a person. She was my muse, that woman. I didn't take her pictures, but the first painting I did in Nigeria, Bodija Eris, was inspired by that encounter with her. And since then, all of my work has been about painting what it feels like, a certain state of mind, whether it's anxiety or whether it's whatever might be going on in the mind. From Ibadan, with my one painting, I came to Port Harcourt and started painting from a shipping container. I got into a group show, I think in 2014 or 2015, And a gallerist came to my shipping container and saw the painting and said to me, we would like to put it in an exhibition. And so I had a solo show eventually, and Bodija Era sold. I don't know who to, but I've been looking for the painting for a while. I want to buy it back because it was just very important to me, and it was more, for me, it was more than just a painting. It was like a life-changing moment. If you forge a path for yourself, if you forge, your own language and your own way of communicating with the world, eventually people will tap into it if you're consistent. My name is Nengi Omuku. I'm a visual artist. You have just checked me out.
Great work, Nengi. Let's now take a quick reminder of our top story today. Gist Nigeria assesses the impact of xenophobic attacks on Africa's largest economies. Do join us again next week, where we'll be checking out Remi Dada, the architect and designer who loves transforming ordinary spaces into beautiful and functional environments. Don't forget to follow all the conversations happening right now on our Twitter page at Gist Nigeria TV. And for more on any of our stories, visit bbc.com/Africa and channelstv.com. That's where we're wrapping up the program today. Thanks for staying with us. Until next time, I am Wale Fakile. Goodbye.